Joining us now is an attorney, and his first name is Alex, and his last name is Greek. And I'm going to have him pronounce it for me because I don't want to mess it up because he's an attorney. Do you understand what I'm saying? Alex, how do you pronounce your last name?
Sklavos.
Sklavos.
Yes.
I did it right?
Yeah, it looks worse than it is.
No, you know what? I think that's what it is. I also have dyslexia.
Oh, really?
Right? So sometimes the Greek names for me are just a little difficult.
It's the consonants running in a row. Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah. But it is a beautiful name.
Oh, thank you.
And you're dressed so dapperly today.
I appreciate that.
Why did you decide to become a divorce attorney, though? Because, like you said earlier, like who grows up to say, when I grow up, this is what I want to do?
Nobody when a kid says, I want to grow up and be a divorce lawyer.
Right.
Yeah, but when starting out in practice, I started out on my own with a partner at a law school. We thought, let's do the things other lawyers hate to do. And that's what we did. We did divorce, and we did some other areas of law that was an easy source of referrals from other attorneys, and I grew to love it.
It's amazing. So you went to St. John?
I did.
Okay. And so you're starting out, you hang your shingle, right? You're a young attorney, right? How did you go about like marketing back in the day? Just like were you like,
listen, back then it was
shaking hands or what?
It was pretty easy. Yeah, you get out to different groups, community groups, bar associations. Frankly, I had a Yellow Pages ad that did great, but where are Yellow Pages now?
Gone.
Right? They're gone.
Absolutely gone.
Yeah, but then you change with the times, but then there's referrals and then getting into internet marketing and social media, but in a way that I try to just offer information. And if people like what I have to say, they'll call me. If they just need a question answered, that's easy to do.
And divorce has evolved, right? So tell us what's new about the word.
It's completely different than what it was almost 30 years ago now. I know, young, right?
You are young. So am I.
For example, the attitude towards custody and visitation 30 years ago was young child belongs with mom. That's the end of the story.
Okay.
And we had third parties that represented children called law guardians. And kind of what they said goes. And that's all changed. Now they're known as attorneys for the children. If the child is vocal, that party's job is just to say what the child wants. And it makes things a little bit harder to figure out. But back then it was mom. Now there's a tremendous push for 50-50 time.
Okay.
Now that begs the question then what happens with money, which is a different question. But as far as parenting time, everybody's being pushed towards equal time, as close as we can get. Not to the minute, but as close as we can get. And it's a recognition that children need both parties. They need fathers, they need mothers. The statistics are overwhelming that if you have both parties involved, your kid's going to go towards a really emotionally stable place.
You had asked me earlier, had I been divorced, because I was making a joke about it. Yes, I have. And I have been able to successfully co-parent 3 beautiful children by 2 different fathers, and it has been absolutely glorious. Like from the outside world, no one would know that my children came from what they used to say, a broken home, right? Because it didn't.
What a terrible term, right?
I know, it's terrible because it doesn't function like that, and it still doesn't.
And it doesn't have to.
No, my youngest is in college, and we ended up going to Parents Weekend together a couple of years ago. It's so smooth and it's so nice, and done the right way, it can be blissful. Is that kind of how you start? You consult the party that you're working with to say, hey, listen, can we mediate some of these things first?
It is.
Okay.
I have 4 beautiful kids.
Okay.
And one of the things I tell my clients when they come in is I try to gauge where they are emotionally. If you're spending more time hating your co-parent, the divorce is going to go poorly and your children are going to suffer. So we say this in court all the time. Kids are bright. Doesn't matter how old or how young they are, they're very bright. They know what's going on, you can't hide it.
Okay.
If you gatekeep, we use the term, if you're saying really pretty poor things, when a child comes home visitation, for example, and you say, oh, I missed you so much. Are you okay? Did you do what you wanted to do, or were you excited to come home? I missed you so much. I was counting the minutes. I was calling you. See, that doesn't sound really aggressive, but it is. Because now you're putting that child in a position where they're trying to please you and choose instead of just being happy with the parent. So the studies are overwhelming. If you encourage the parenting time with the other party, your children are going to love you for it, and they're going to love their time. And it can be, I hate to use the term normal, because there is no normal anymore, but it can be emotionally fulfilling for everybody. And listen, who wouldn't want to have a break with all those kids? Take a couple days off, right?
Exactly.
And encourage it. You're not losing something.
Or have some adult time when you don't have your children to go out and see some friends or something also. So it can be a great balance.
Right. So what I tell my clients is there's no winning or losing.
Okay.
We have to find a new normal for everybody.
It's interesting too, because I think once you do have a new normal and some standards in place, right, your life sometimes functions better than when you were married and miserable.
Yeah, totally.
The happy divorce, right? So you're kind of helping people find their happiness. Is that what I said? I said it also in the green room.
You did.
I said, Alex, I said, oh, so you're helping people have a beautiful new beginning.
New beginnings.
New
And why
beginnings.
not? But you have to be able to let go and not, you know, one of the things I say to everybody, and I say, don't insult it. Don't be insulted by me saying this, but are you seeing a therapist?
Okay.
You're going to go through stages of grief when you go through a divorce, and you have to recognize that. And if you're spending your time on anger and what they did wrong and trying to get back at them, it's not going to go well. Get a checkup from the neck up. Everybody needs it, especially when you're going through this really horrible event.
And do you have people that you sometimes refer to?
There were a few, but
Like a
honestly,
group?
when
Yeah.
it comes, there are a few that I recommend that have experience in it. It's very funny. One therapist friend of mine said, "You got to stop sending them. They were overwhelmed." I filled up their docket.
Alex, Alex, I don't want any more of
Yeah.
your clients. It's been a joy to have you here. I want to ask you one other question. What about prenups? What's happening in the world of prenups now? Do you suggest
great
them?
question.
Okay.
I do. Even if you don't get there to sign it, it causes a conversation
Okay.
of the questions. Listen, I went to Catholic pre-Cana, right? And it was great. And they asked the kind of questions that prenups force you to ask. Have you talked about money? If you're in a traditional marriage, I'm sorry, if you're in and one party's going to go and leave the workforce and have a child, have you talked about what happens by that loss of income? Talk about maintenance. Talk about, well, what did I come into the marriage with? Am I going to leave with? Even if you don't have the result you wished, it's good to have that conversation, because if you're not on the same page about those very basic questions, it can lead to some really big fights down the road.
Yeah. It is stressful. You know, getting married is stressful, getting unmarried is stressful, living life sometimes is stressful, right? And we're all just kind of doing the best we can. But I think being in a place of respectfulness for whoever you're in a relationship with, I think it also starts with that.
Oh, 100%, 100%. I mean, listen, I've had the situations where the wedding's Saturday and somebody comes to my office on Wednesday and they slap a prenup down in front and say, my husband or my wife or my partner wants me to sign this. And I sit back and I said, this is a terrible idea.
Yeah.
It's a terrible idea. You shouldn't sign anything. You need time to sit down and go through finances with full disclosure. But I think they're a great idea. And even if you don't execute them, ask those questions.
Okay. So like the day after the engagement, you should start like looking into the prenup. Alex, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much.
I know it's not an easy job of what you're doing, but I think your knowledge and your expertise along with your personality can maybe make it a little more pleasant for most.
I appreciate it.
Thank
Thanks
you
so
for
much.
being here. You're welcome.
Okay.
Stay tuned for more. Yes, I have been married a couple of times and I have become single and I have 3 amazing children. You know that I do. And I'm wishing you happy success, whether you're staying married or whether you're choosing to have a new life. Be well.